5 to 7 explosions reported in Tehran. Planes are avoiding Tehran. Confirmed explosions heard in Tehran. Waiting for more information, but 2 planes seem to be avoiding it. Evidence of potential war crimes collected by British spy planes operating over Gaza could be handed to the International Criminal Court, the UK has confirmed. Press coverage 3 explosions of unknown origin heard of west of the Iranian capital. World War III or weapons embargo to Israel. Which one's coming first? I'm a firm believer that World War III is already happening. The World War III is already kind of happening. Apparently reports of blasts in Damascus as well. Seems to me like a classic case of Israel doing Israel stuff. Elit News update from Iran International English. Multiple explosions have been heard in different parts of Tehran, according to IRGC affiliated outlets and reports from social media users. Is Israel really going to completely nuke the world economy like this? I think that they have speculated what kind of targets that are appropriate to strike, what kind of targets America has allowed them to strike, and they're striking them. I don't think that they'll hit, if they hit oil refineries, it's crazy. Al Jazeera, unofficial Iranian websites, 3 consecutive explosions heard west of Iran's capital, Tehran. I suspect that this will resemble what kind of limited retaliatory strikes that Israel has engaged in so far. It'll obviously be larger, but it will mostly be relegated to military targets. I don't think that America will allow Israel to hit oil refineries or nuclear power plants. The real point of contention here is Iran has said that their retaliation will be swift if any targets are struck that is of energy related. If any energy related targets are struck, then they'll retaliate by lighting the entire region's oil production on fire. America knows this. America does not want this. You say aloud like we have any control? Well, we do have control, actually. You should recognize that we have a tremendous amount of control, as a matter of fact. You should never forget that we control everything that Israel does. Why do I say this? It might not seem like it. It might seem like Benjamin Netanyahu is dog walking Biden on a daily basis, and to some degree he is. But notice how Israel did not retaliate against Iran for the past month almost at this point, after Iran struck inside of the boundary. 32 hits on target on one of the 3 different targets that they had that they openly communicated they were going to hit. That was a massive you to Israel. That was a major cause for concern for Israel. Why didn't they strike back immediately and lit the entire oil refineries on fire as they said they would? Well, the reason why they didn't do that is because, like I said, Iran said they would retaliate against Saudi and other Gulf area oil refineries and respond in kind, which would completely destroy the global economy. So America kept telling them that's a no-no. Ronan Bergman, New York Times, Yediot Ahronot reporter, says the Israeli attack on Iran has begun. Allowing the oil prices to go up before the election is a big no-no. It's not that. Guys, if Iran retaliated by lighting the oil refineries on fire in the region, that would go so much further than just this. It would make this election look funny in comparison to the devastation it would have on the global market in its entirety. It would globalize this conflict overnight. The nothing ever happens people would, for the first time ever, realize that, oh, maybe things are happening all the time. It's just that this time it's happening to us. Islamic Republic of Iran state media confirmed reports that explosions all around Tehran have been heard. One of my favorite family members in Iran heard very loud explosions, but they haven't figured out where they have occurred. This is the only reporting we have on it so far. At least 5 explosions heard in Iran's capital and nearby Karachi city, semi-official Iranian media say. So I suspect that they are hitting military targets. Iranian media channels report that at least 10 explosions have been reported in the western region of Tehran. Air raid sirens have gone off in the consulate complex in Hawler, Erbil, amidst reports of explosions around the capital of Iraq and Baghdad. Israel has started their attack against Iran. Fox News can confirm the strikes are meant to send a message of deterrence. I'm told there was communication with the Americans ahead of the strikes over the past several days. Yeah, this to me signals that they're not going to go above and beyond, but maybe I'm wrong. You always need to allow Israel to surprise you. You know what I mean? There's always a little bit of an opportunity for Israel to do some. A picture from Tehran showing Tehran how it looks like when a missile hits this target. Dude, these people are so delusional, man. I genuinely don't understand like how they're so stupid. Like they just don't understand missiles that were able to strike Israeli military bases are more than capable of striking Israeli civilian buildings.
This strike, according to this senior official, was meant to send a message of deterrence to the Iranian regime, and there was communication with the Americans beforehand as the region waits to see what will come next. But again, the latest information that we have, multiple explosions have been reported in and around the Iranian capital of Tehran, as well as in the northern part of Iran. We don't know the exact targets, but I am told that some of the targets were taken off the list following American pressure. There have been a lot of conversations taking place with top Israeli leadership here in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem, talking with their counterparts in Washington to determine how to deter the Iranians but not drag the region into a broader war. Now, one other important note here. An Israeli official tells me the expectation is that following the strikes tonight against Iran, there will be some sort of response. Of course, they don't know what that response will look like, but Israeli air defense remains on high alert across this country. There is an understanding that Iran has the ability to target Israel with a variety of ballistic missiles, as they did earlier this month when they launched 180 of them toward this country. And so Israel's top defense systems, including the Arrow 2 and 3 systems, do remain on alert to be able to protect.
The explosion in Tehran came from the western part of the city where the Revolutionary Guard has headquarters, according to multiple residents in Tehran, including half a dozen Iranian journalists. This is from the New York Times. Okay. So yeah, they're striking like military targets. This is tit for tat, for the record. So far, this is what Iran did to Israel. Israel is doing back to Iran. And I suspect it will probably stay at that level, but I don't know. Like I said, there's always room for Israel to just like go above and beyond. Is the THAAD supposed to be up and running now? No, it's not. It's not. I don't think it's running yet, but it doesn't really matter anyway. I feel like the THAAD also has the capacity to be overwhelmed with like extra missiles. I live in a dorm in the west of Tehran. We heard about 5 explosions very clearly that even shook the windows a little bit. This was about 25 minutes ago. Some residents who saw the smoke said it might be some IRGC targets that were meant for producing missiles, not official. Oh, THAAD is already operational? Damn, they got that up quick. I thought it would take like a month. Like the reporting I read on it was that it would take some time for it to be fully operational, that they just like, it's not like you just send the soldiers in with the systems and then boom. Anyway, it's not deterrence, it's escalation. No, I think that depending on how Israel strikes back, you can either consider it deterrence or escalation depending on how Israel strikes back. Because like, obviously, Israel still started it with respect to Iran specifically. But having said that, remember when Iran did the loiter munitions and like some of the ballistic missiles that they sent over, like drones that they sent over, and then Israel retaliated with like a light tap? That was basically Israel being like, we get the last say. We get the last say here. We get the final say here. And everybody understood the message. Everybody understood the message that like Israel just wanted to save face to a certain degree without like greatly escalating. But then they turned around and assassinated Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran, which like after some time had passed was a severe escalation, right? And then Iran was like, we reserve the right to retaliate. And they did. And that was also a higher strike than what they had done prior. Now, Israel still, if they retaliate by like striking military bases in Tehran, are keeping it relatively calm. If they hit nuclear facilities, if they hit oil refineries, then they're not keeping it calm at all. And they're actually completely outside of America's threshold, I would say. America, 1,000,000%, in my opinion, does not want Israel to strike the oil refineries. They do not want Israel to strike anything but just like military targets. So Trita Parsi's pretty good. Quincy Institute guy, very smart guy. Let's see his immediate analysis in this. The chatter is intensifying once more that an Israeli attack on Iran with significant U.S. involvement and support is imminent, potentially within the next few hours. While the current chatter about a potential Israeli attack on Iran is at a high, it is important to remember that similar levels of speculation have been reached before any actual attack. The uncertainty of these pending attacks, whether they were real or thwarted by various events, including the recent Pentagon leak, adds to the risk of miscalculation. However, one factor makes it difficult to dismiss the current chatter. The window for Netanyahu to strike is closing. The window was never up to the U.S. elections. Rather, it would close several days before the elections. The window is then further shortened by another factor, indications that the election are Trump's to lose. If Trump is heading towards a victory and Netanyahu strikes only days before the elections, Israel's intervention will not be seen as tilting the elections in Trump's favor. He was winning anyway. But rather, it will be seen as an effort to put handcuffs on Trump by forcing him to support an escalation in the region that very likely will drag the U.S. into the war, presumably against Trump's wishes. Thus, a move that can be seen as pro-Trump 10 days before the elections may turn anti-Trump 5 days before the election. Add that to the difficulties Israel's facing in Lebanon, and pressure increases further to strike sooner rather than later. I think this is the most significant aspect of this analysis. I think it's because they're getting fucking shellacked in Lebanon. Like when they aren't busy blowing up Beirut suburbs and just like attacking hospitals, killing Doctors Without Borders, medical personnel, or like UN facilities, they're getting absolutely whipped around by Hezbollah. They have all the smoke for journalists, children, hospital patients, hospital infrastructure, banks, right? But Hezbollah is just melting their. As things stand, whenever Israel gets destroyed in any sort of real military conflict, what do? They take it out on random civilians, or they try to escalate. Israel not doing a great job in Gaza. What do they have to do? People are starting to get worried. People are starting to yell about the hostages. What does Israel do? They invade Lebanon. They start blowing up Lebanon. Israel is not doing a great job with Hezbollah in South Lebanon. What do? They have a short window to retaliate to Iran, opening up a new front. So that is what's happening here. I think they're flailing. So they have a shorter window. With THAAD missile defense system in place and operational in Israel, Biden has facilitated Israel's war of choice. By putting U.S. soldiers in an active war zone, Biden is also gambling with American lives in a manner that may leave scores killed from retaliation by Iran or Iraqi militias. This would be the apex of Biden's grotesque mismanagement of Netanyahu in Israel at every turn. Yeah, it's a classic Vietnam-style situation almost. I mean, not entirely, but like, you know, we have our military trainers there. Military trainers explode. Helicopter, boom, all of a sudden you're killing America's soldiers. What do? We got to go to war. So at every turn, Biden has supported Israeli escalation and Russia to protect Israel from its own foolish expansion of the war. This is giving Netanyahu every reason to escalate matters further, including dragging the U.S. into the war, and few, if any, reasons not to. As a result of Biden's blind deference to Netanyahu, more U.S. soldiers may soon be killed in a war they did not fight for America and that Congress never authorized. Yeah. So the attack on Iran has to happen. You know, they just got to do it. Now, how Israel attacks Iran in retaliation is what is significant here. It is officially started. We shall see in the upcoming hours what the actual damage is. We'll make an assessment. My speculation, speculation alert, is that no oil refineries or nuclear facilities are being hit, and that they're simply hitting a missile production facility or like IRGC barracks, or, you know, they're targeting military infrastructure. That's what I'm assuming. And the only reason for that is not because of some humanitarian concern. Make no mistake, there is no humanitarian concern. There is no bottom to the violence that America will subject the rest of the world to. It's simply a material concern that the United States of America has in terms of if oil refineries in Iran were struck. Iran has said that they would retaliate by lighting the entire Gulf oil production, which is what, like, the majority, if not almost 2/3 of the oil production of the entire planet. They will light it on fire. They will render it useless. This would destroy the global economy. China doesn't want that. America doesn't want. Nobody wants that, right? Nobody. Israel might want it. There might be some horn dogs in there that think like, nah, we'll light it on fire. We'll see the entire nation burn. That's going to be great. It's going to be sick. But like, that's where the big dog kicks in. Now, you have to remember that. You have to remember who the big dog is here in moments like this. Because the reality is, if Israel ran America in the way that many people presented, and in some ways America does let Israel get ahead, certainly. But if Israel supposedly ran America, they would be doing just that. Breaking from Elint News, our valued chatter Elint News. HasanAbi head in the building. Now that things are happening once again, he's coming in. IDF spokesman, the IDF is now precisely attacking military targets in Iran in response to the ongoing attacks of the regime in Iran against the state of Israel in recent months, in accordance with the guidance of the political echelon. Yeah. The family atomics. So yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, it seems like that's what's happening. Israel will go, oh my God, we destroyed their missile production facilities. We own them super hard. Iran will probably go, oh, this was but a light breeze for us. It's not dissimilar to what happened with, if all things go according to plan, if all things go according to the expected outcome, like the path of least resistance, the path of like the most minor escalation shit, then it'll be the reverse of what Israel presented when Iran struck its bases. Now, there are people saying Israel has actually hit a civilian power plant in Tehran. If that's the case, then that might be considered an escalation beyond what was expected. But we shall see. The IDF statement on strikes tonight. Iran specifies military targets have been hit, i.e. not nuclear sites or oil terminals or leaders of the regime.